it hasn't in a while. So that was Whitney. I'm a Jersey girl. I like to start off with little Whitney, a little higher love, little vibe. And we like to do that. You know, a lot of times if you're to come in our class, you'll see our teachers starting with just kind of creating some energy and some music. So that's fun. I want to welcome everybody. I'm sure we still have people coming in, and that's okay. What are our numbers looking like, Mr. Brown? Maybe you can text me so I don't have to keep asking that, but we'll maybe wait just another moment. So take a moment to please follow us on social media. A lot of the images you'll see are from our social media. So we really do try to capture and show the community what we're doing on any given day here at MMS. So that's a wonderful way to keep getting to know us as you get ready for your child to join us in 6th grade next year. I think we're at a pretty good number. Maybe I'll wait one more minute as people are joining us. A little something you can learn about me. I like to be on time. I start and end on time, most events, but I'll wait just another moment because I do see people climbing in, and I also am getting notifications that people are following us on social media, so that's fun. Keep it up. We like to have fun. Hopefully you're getting that already. All right. Mr. King, why don't you keep us going to the next slide. And you can keep going. By the way, don't worry about us moving through our slides because we will make sure that it's available to you. We'll send it to the elementary principals, and I'll speak with our school district, everybody, if they want to post it anywhere. And of course, you will see lots of email information. If for some reason it doesn't get to you, I'm happy to get it to you. So don't worry about getting down every piece of slide content. There's quite a few slides, but we move through them pretty quickly because we really know that the best part of this event is about answering your questions. So this is a little bit about us, our core values, and you'll hear me say quite a bit this evening that it's all about student voice. And that's really what the kids get a chance to deepen, and we really amplify student voice here. You can keep going, Mr. King. And this is our agenda, the next slide for this evening. So you're going to hear first from the Home and School Association. We have Miss Kelly Harris. I didn't see Miss Elazabal. Is she not on? And so Kelly Harris will speak. She is on, and I just didn't see her. Okay. So they'll both start out by greeting you and telling you a little bit about our Home and School Association, and then you'll hear from the rest of us, the school staff, because they're going to jump off and join on the parent side of things and just make sure everything's going well on the parent side for those of us joining us. So take it away, Miss Kelly Harris and Miss Veronica Elazabal, our HSA co-presidents. And everybody remember to mute when you're not talking.
Hi, everyone. I'm Veronica, and I can't see Kelly because she's somewhere on the screen.
We can't see each other, but I know
there you are.
There we are. There we are.
Great. So I'm going to kick us off. If you could go to the next slide, please, Mr. Brown. Keep going.
Sorry. Before you go to,
we can start here. We can start here. Oh,
I'm sorry. Veronica, I'm very sorry. I just want Mr. King to make sure people know how to ask questions in the chat. So if he could just go over that slide, and then we'll come back to you. Sorry about that.
No worries.
Go ahead.
So there should be a Q&A panel on the top right-hand side of your screen. From there, you're able to type in the question box any questions you may have, and they'll appear for any of the panelists. And we'll be able to click on that and answer that question individually. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop it in the Q&A, and we can go from there.
And we'll also be answering them aloud later in the event. We leave the most time for questions. And now back to you, co-presidents.
Great, thanks. So is it Mr. Brown who's controlling? Okay, Mr. Brown, you can go back one slide, please.
It's Mr. King.
Oh, it's Mr. King who's controlling the slides. All right, Mr. King. One more slide back. There we go. Okay, so welcome. We're very excited to be welcoming our incoming 5th grade class, well now 6th grade class. And something that will be new and different for many of you who do not have middle schoolers or have gone through the system already is something called the Home and School Association. And this is essentially the newest version of the Parent and Teacher Association. So at the elementary school level, you have PTAs. At the middle school and high school level, you have something called an HSA. And we really see this as a partnership. It's not just between parents and parent volunteers doing things to support the school. It's really a parent, that's the home part, a student and teacher association, and together we form a community. So many of the activities that we do as a home and school association are like the PTA types of activities, except that we work really closely in partnerships because we don't have things like class coordinators, because there isn't one class. Your child will have 8 classes and maybe more or maybe less. And so there isn't like one point person. And so we have a couple of ways that you can get involved. One of which is to please support your home and school association, because we are a nonprofit. And well, by the time we get to the middle school, we grow in terms of size of parent population, but we also decrease in terms of budget. We have limited resources to do the types of things that we would like to do. And given the pandemic, have had even less of an opportunity to really fundraise, although we've done a pretty good job of keeping a particular budget and engaging with the school at various different levels. For example, this year we hosted at the 6th grade, we hosted a community event where all of the students worked with the teachers at home. It was on a home day to create lawn signs to show their community spirit. At the 7th grade level, we hosted a trivia night, a trivia day, really, for the 7th grade that Mr. King really took part in. And at the 8th grade, we're working to ensure that our move-up ceremonies and our end-of-school events are come out in a dynamic way. And so these are different ways that we've adjusted and pivoted within the pandemic. We're hoping that next year it'll be a little bit different. We would be welcoming all of your new students to school. And this is a picture of us doing that the year before. We did not do it this year for obvious reasons. And so that's a little bit about the HSA. I'll talk a little bit more about other things, but I'm handing it over to Kelly to talk about how to get involved.
Yep, so we can go to the next. Hi, good evening, everyone. If we could go, thank you, Mr. King. So, hi, Kelly Harris. Veronica and I have been in this role for 2 years. Neither of us knew that we would be going through a global pandemic during this time, just like everybody else. But really, I want to say that before I go into like the actual specifics of the how you can help or how you can get, how you can support the HSA is really, I just want to say as a full-time working mom of 3 kids, 13-year-old, my daughter Kate is a 7th grader, she'll be going into 8th grade, and then 2 young ones. Being in the HSA has really actually been a lifesaver for me. It's a way for me to stay connected to the school community, but also to stay connected to what's going on. I would say that prior to being involved in the HSA, I was often feeling overwhelmed that I couldn't keep up with, say, school events or what was going on with the calendar. And really, just in terms of like selfishly, it's been great for me to really be involved and know what's going on and stop feeling like I'm disconnected. And so it really is a great way. There's my cat who decided to show up. Sorry. Sorry, that's Lola. And so it's just a way for you to get involved and to also just be connected to the community. So in addition, your support of the HSA, even during these pandemic times, which we've had to be flexible and shift and be agile and nimble, thinking about cultural arts and assemblies and, agenda books and student field trips, remember those? We hope that they start again. But staff appreciation events as we start to welcome our students and our teachers back on campus, being a part of that and showing appreciation, and also then grade level socials that we hope to start again as well. Ways you can help us is we have a no frills donation fundraiser, really, which makes it super simple, right? I couldn't keep up with when we were at elementary school with, every single event that was coming up or fundraising. This is the No Frills fundraiser. You can donate a flat amount, and we're a 501c3. And so if you work at a company that matches, for example, you can actually take advantage of the match. You can join the HSA officially by visiting our website. Become a board member so you can get more involved in your child's grade or student's grade, or other types of things that may interest you, like the cultural arts and assemblies. Volunteer for events, sign up for a weekly e-blast. We have wonderful communications people. One thing that is wonderful about the Maplewood community is we have very talented and gifted, creative people. We have a great weekly e-blast. And then you can also let us know about events that are going on. Maybe you're involved in another community group, and it'd be great to be able to share that information with us. We can share with the larger community.
Great, thanks, Kelly. And so it's $20 to join the HSA, and that also gets you an HSA magnet, which we stopped a few years ago, but we have restarted. And so that alone should be a reason to why you join the HSA, because we all want the MMS magnet. If you could just go to the next slide, and we'll wrap us up. So we've opened up a Spiritware store, and Spiritware is very different at the middle school, only because we don't have an ongoing store like you might have an inventory at the elementary school level, where you could just purchase all year round. And so we have these sales that happen. We had one in the fall, and we just opened it up. And so this is a great opportunity to actually go and get some Spiritware and get ready for middle school and show your middle school pride. We have pajamas, and we have hoodies, and they're gray hoodies, not black hoodies. And so I'm really excited about that. And these materials will be shared, as Principal Gronau mentioned, afterwards. And so you'll have all the live links, but many of you have been asking about gifts for your middle schooler. So here it is. It will be open till May 15th. And then when it closes, delivery fees are free this time around. They weren't last time. And our Spiritware team, who is amazing, it will ensure that regardless of which school you're ordering from, we deliver to your schools, the student and the homeroom teacher. So this is a really good opportunity to get ahead of some of the things that you're going to be thinking about when you get to middle school. Thank you.
Right, and I should mention my 13-year-old daughter, who is reminding me every day that the 90s are back, approves of the plaid flannel pajama pants. So so everyone can find something that they like in this Spiritware.
Back to you, Principal Gronau.
Thank you. Keep us posted on the parent side, both of you. Thank you for joining us and starting us off.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome. So next we're going to hear from our team leaders. A big part, probably the biggest part of middle school, is being on a team. There's a picture of Miss O'Sullivan. It's actually from today because I added some pictures. And so we're going to hear from our 3 team leaders, Miss O'Sullivan, Miss Varney, and Mr. Stewart, not necessarily in that order. Take it away, team leaders.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ryan Varney, and I have served as a 6th grade team leader for the past few years. Sorry, I'm just trying to get my notes. This next year will be my 14th year at MMS, and it's a place that I really truly call home. As a team leader, our role is to be a liaison between administration, teachers, parents, guardians, and other students to foster communication between all stakeholders involved in your child's life. Our primary goal is to make a place that feels really quite large, much smaller, by working in teacher teams led by a team leader. And we further support and get to know a smaller group of students to create a more personalized learning environment. And I'm looking forward to meeting everyone soon. I'm now going to turn it over to Miss O'Sullivan.
Thank you, Miss Varney. Yes, that is me today. I was giggling when Miss Gronau took it. I was like, I'm on the phone, stop. She was like, it's real life. I was like, okay. So you can see, you know, some of my fun stuff, like my giant Pez dispenser in the background there. So I'm Maureen O'Sullivan, or Miss O'Sullivan. The fall will start my 16th year here at MMS. So I like to say to my parents who were in my classroom, but I'll share with you, you know, if I can do middle school willingly for 16 years, you can do it for 3. And we will help you get through it together. I'm an older sister of 4. I take a lot of my experience from that. And that's really what I bring in terms of being a team leader too. You know, our goal is to make this big school seem much smaller with these little families. So we break up into 3 teams. We have cougar names. Mine's the Wildcats. And what we really do is we work together as a core set of teachers: math, language arts, science, social studies, special ed, and we meet weekly to really make sure we're looking at students, their needs, that we're not overwhelming them, arranging due dates, what kind of interdisciplinary opportunities can we build in. And we really use that time to just kind of figure out what can we do to help our students grow and support them, you know, academically and social emotionally. You know, we're also in charge of like fun things like convocations, celebrating the end of the quarters. But we're also here just for anything you could possibly need logistics wise. You know, we're kind of like the go-to person, you know, so admin doesn't get 800 emails a day. And we're just really excited to welcome you to the MMS family and meet your students in the fall. And Mr. Stewart, all you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Ms. O'Sullivan. So my name is Mr. Stewart. I'm the team leader for Team Silver Lions. So as Ms. Varney and Ms. O'Sullivan just said, you know, we're in charge of really trying to make sure that we can maintain a kind of community atmosphere between your new students and not only all the students within the team, but also begin to show them the skills that they need to be successful in 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade. Now, when students transfer from the elementary school to the middle school, it can be, you know, it could be a very daunting experience. It's a large building. You know, each team has anywhere from 80 to 100 students per team. You know, many different classes you have to go to. I personally teach science. I've been teaching science here for about 6 years, and this will be the first time you have a full-time science class 5 days a week. So there's going to be a lot of adjustments to be made, but we're here as team leaders to support you, and we work very closely with your teachers, with parents. We work very closely with the students. As you can see on the screen, yes, we do field trips to some extent, virtual or otherwise. We've had a great year this year. If you were to talk to some of the students this year, we have all kind of what we call team building activities, where we try to not only try to get the students on our teams together to socialize and commune, but we also plan things together so that we can have grade-wide convocations. So you're never going to be isolated. If your best friend from elementary school is on team, you know, Wildcats, and you're on team Red Tigers, it's not like you're never going to see them again. We do our best to really try to keep those connections going so that you have the skills you need and have a great experience coming to 6th grade.
Thank you. We have fabulous team leaders. I put them early in the evening because I know they always have a lot to do. So if they jump off, we understand they're a busy crew, and Miss O'Sullivan is getting ready for the MMS musical. Do you want to mention that real quick, Miss O'Sullivan? We're going to show it in slides later, but I'd love for her
Yeah,
to
sure. This year we're presenting Singing in the Rain. So we went with a bit of a classic, and we've been rehearsing completely virtually, and we are going to be filming outdoors, hybrid, in person tomorrow. Using the grounds of MMS as our background. So we've done a lot of learning also. There are a lot of 8th graders who could edit a film, let me just tell you. So it's been very exciting, and there's going to be ticket information. Tickets go for sale this weekend. If you saw Columbia's Hindsight, we're selling links similarly. It's always a great part of the MMS tradition here. So we do a great job too of not just having a big program for people who want to be on stage, but we take our backstage program pretty seriously. We have a lot of students who go on from here to actually study technical theater, not just at Columbia, but also then in college. So, you know, we really try and involve as many people as possible. This year, we're at a small number with close to 100. So that gives you a bit of an indication. And if you need anything else, you can always reach out to me.
Thank you. So you'll see those slides down. You can go to the next one, Mr. King. Thank you, Ms. O'Sullivan, and thank you, team leaders. Very important man in our community, Mr. Degnan, who's our media specialist and school librarian and just a resident tech expert, and he's going to say a few words.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Evan Degnan. I'm the librarian media specialist here at Maplewood Middle School, and this is now my 5th year here at MMS as the librarian media specialist, and it's been an amazing time for me. One of the big differences between elementary library and middle school library is there's no longer a library class for each of the grades. So I take it as a mission for me to make sure that I meet every single 6th grader that comes into MMS at the very beginning of the year. And that involves having an orientation, just talking to students, what do we have in the library now, and how to get them coming back on their own. And beyond that, how can I go reach out to them in their other classrooms, whether it's English language arts, math, science with Mr. Stewart. And at some of at the bottom of the screen here, you'll see some of the stuff that we do throughout the year. For example, Mr. Stewart and I have done great lessons where students will create 3D molecules. And obviously when we were in the building, they would 3D print these molecules and they would have these molecules to display. And it's really one of the best things that I get to take part in all year, because you get to see the kids hold the physical representations that they use to create this. And it's really awesome. Beyond that, in our library, we do have 3D printers. We have as many as 6 3D printers, and a lot of times all of them are running even throughout the night, so that we can print all the student materials, whether it's 6th grade, 7th grade, or 8th graders that are creating stuff. We also have a podcast booth where students can create podcasts. We have a DJ mixing board, so if they want to mix beats, we have that available to them as well. And then finally, we do video editing that also incorporates green screen technology, so students have the ability to import new backgrounds if they're doing technology. Now, with that being said, with everyone being on technology throughout this year, I understand the importance of being able to physically learn with tools and different aspects like that. And no better example is this within books. So obviously we have a great and brand new expansive virtual library, but students have told me, they really miss having that physical book in their hand. There is literally no replacing a physical book in the hand. So that has got to be one of the big things that we get back to when we're back in the building, getting those books back into the hands of students so that they enjoy reading physically and not necessarily on a screen, all the different fiction styles. And then that also comes with a really fantastic partnership that we have with the Maplewood Public Library. We are at such an advantage because of the fact that we are right next to Maplewood Public Library. Emily Witowski, the teen librarian at Maplewood Public Librarian, she's always coming over to us to talk to the students about whether it's summer programming that's coming up, different programs that are running at the public library, as well as the summer reading that we work collaboratively with the public librarians at both South Orange and Maplewood. So we have a really great working relationship there, and it can involve just getting them different books that we might not have in our library, or getting them signed up to have library cards, so that way they will be able to get books from all over the county from the book sharing programs that they run through Maplewood Public Library. But again, with the library at MMS, it really is a place where I want students to come in, and if they have an idea about a project that they want to run or the project that they want to create, they will have the tools at Maplewood Middle School Library to create that vision that they have in their head, whether it's technology or within their hands. And then that also involves me getting out into each of the different classrooms. So I can't wait to meet all the 6th graders, because it's always one of the best things that happens at the very beginning of the year, really getting that year jump started for me at least.
Thank you, Mr. Degnan. And if he looks familiar, he is a coach locally, as a basketball coach, so he might have been yours. Now, I know I called Mr. Bonds the MVP, but our real MVP is Miss Conway, our nurse, and you'll hear from her next.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Hilary Conway. I'm the school nurse at MMS. It's my first year at MMS, and it's been a challenging year, but it's been a great year. Just a few highlights of what I do. I mainly just try to ensure the health and safety of all of our students and staff while they are at school. So I provide care in my office for students and staff for illness and injuries. I take care of students with any chronic medical conditions or daily medications. I conduct yearly health screenings. So this is, your height and weight, vision, hearing, scoliosis screening. I also collaborate with some of the guidance counselors and teachers on certain health topics that we might want to present to the kids. I do immunization monitoring. So as sixth graders, there are a couple of immunizations that are required. So I'll work with all of you in getting those before September. You'll receive notification before the end of this year on what we need for September. I really love working with the sixth graders and seeing the transition from elementary to middle school and seeing them grow as people in their independence as they navigate their new school. Trying to think. And this year, in addition to all of the other duties that a school nurse would have, I have, helped with COVID mitigation and worked as part of our school's pandemic response team and attended meetings with local health departments just to make sure that we as a school are compliant with the latest CDC and state and local health department guidelines. So I look forward to working with all of you. I look forward to meeting your students, and I'm sure that they're very excited to come in the fall, and I'm very excited to have them. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, Ms. Conway runs a tight ship, but that's what we want, especially now. So thank you. And now you are going to hear from someone I know you want to hear from. This will be your child's school counselor, which is a new role in middle school, not new to us, but it's new because you didn't have it in elementary school. So with that, I bring you Miss April Battle.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me tonight. I can't believe it, approaching my 20th year at Maplewood Middle School. So that's just exciting to me to be able to say that. And in approaching that, I absolutely still love this position, and I view it as a privilege and honor to be able to serve you and your families in the capacity that I do. I'm here to support your children and you emotionally and academically, because you can't really do one without the other. It's intertwined. So I'm here to listen. I want to listen. I want to know what's going on with your family, with your child. I'm not here to judge. I kind of view myself almost like a cruise ship director. You come in here and I want to make sure that your experience is the most sound, beneficial, best experiences you could possibly have. Now, every day is not perfect, okay? And every student is not the same. So although we are a large place with almost 800 students, your child, your family, your needs are important to me. And I want to hear about what's going on with you. Positive, sure, I want to hear the positive. But if something's not going the way you'd like it to go, something concerns you, you might think, oh, should I mention that? I'm not sure. Mention it. I'm the place you go where you're not exactly sure where to go. Like, who do I ask that? Ask me that question. That doesn't seem that straightforward. Okay, I call my office home, like inside of the school, because in a big place like that, kids need somewhere to go. if they're not feeling happy, if they need to just to check in, just a place that feels comfortable. Okay, it's not a job, but what I like to do is make people feel welcome and seen and acknowledged. And some kids don't want a big, huge hello and embrace, but just as long as they know that they matter and they're seen, I just think that's huge. I mean, the pandemic has presented some challenges, but we've also grown to the occasion and learned a whole lot of technology that has come in handy. Even today, I visited 5 classrooms and had great interactive conversations and sessions with children. We talked about careers, we talked about how they feel, just different things. So we didn't stop. A relatively new role that I have is that of supervising interns, which I find to be very rewarding. I have 3 interns this year, Miranda, Aaron, and Wage Don from Seton Hall and Montclair State University, and they really have helped us in this role, and I'm going to continue in that way next year with the interns. So I'm thankful for them, and if they're out there, hello and congratulations to the 2 of you who are graduating, and thank you, Miranda, for continuing with us. But I just want you to know that you can always reach out to me. There's no question that's too big or too small. If I can handle it myself, I will. But if I need to help you get to another place to get that answer, I'll do everything I can. Something that's different about middle school is how the parent-teacher conferences go. You know how in elementary school, they're kind of like scheduled, and you say, okay, you're coming in on this date between this time and that time, and you pick a slot. It doesn't go like that. So I don't want you to sit all year waiting for that to happen. Let's say you want a conference. My office is the place where you make conferences. So there we have a secretary, her name is Miss Brown. And through her, she schedules conferences with your team. The benefit of her making those meetings is that you wouldn't just necessarily meet with Miss O'Sullivan. You would meet with Miss O'Sullivan and the team. That way, you come in, you get to hear from everyone. I'm there. So it's like, you don't have to come in a million times to hear about what's going on. And what you'll find is there's some common threads and common trends throughout the classes. Now, may you meet with the teacher individually? Sure. If it's like very specific, but at the same time, we find these team approach meetings quite beneficial. But everybody's not necessarily going to have one. But if you want one, we welcome you to call our office or email us, and we'll just schedule one with you right away. We've done this virtually. We do them in person. That's what we did in the past. But I find the virtual meetings to be beneficial too. Like, let's say you can't leave work, but you have, 10 minutes. In 10 minutes, we can accomplish a lot, and we can make a plan. So I just want you to know that I am here for you. I am excited about the journey we are going to take together. I am currently the 8th grade counselor. So what our model is, there's 3 counselors, so we'll follow you. So our 8th graders go in Columbia, so we're getting them ready for that. So now I have the pleasure of having the new group of students. And then when your children go to 7th grade, I'll be with them. So we'll move along that way. So we stay together and we get to know each other. I know there's some familiar people out there. I can't see you from my view in this WebEx presentation, but hello. And a very special hello to the new families as well, because everybody is just as important to me. So thank you again for this opportunity. And I want to say this, once this presentation starts and I say this, we're together now. So if you have a question for me and you want to talk about something, please feel free to email me, call me, contact me, and I'm happy to meet with you or answer you about that. Thank you so much for your time, and you have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, Ms. Battle.
Ms. Gronau?
Yes.
Can I interrupt for 1 second? I've been answering questions in the chat, but I think it's important to read these 2 questions. I should have read this one a minute ago. This one said, Mr. Degnan seems really passionate about getting the students involved. Love it. And then I have one that says, Mrs. Battle is just the very best. And someone who said that I kind of want to hang out in Mrs. Battle's office myself. So welcoming and reassuring. I thought I should read those questions.
Thank you for that, Mr. Brown.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes, you are correct. And that is why I wanted you to meet some of our lovely people here at MMS. You can keep going, Mr. King. I meant to say earlier on, in addition, you'll get this presentation, but anytime you see a blue slide, that has contact information on it. And so if you do want to stop and pay attention, if you see an email address that you're interested in, including Miss Battles, you'll see hers later. You can just go ahead and write that down. Here's the squad. This is us this year. Greeting you. I don't know why we're trying to look so tough over there. We're handing out books. It's me, Mr. Brown, and Mr. King. You can go to the next slide. Just to tell you a little bit about me, I'm a resident and I'm a hometown girl. I graduated from Columbia High School. I really love our community. I believe in our community. Nowhere else I'd rather raise my kids who are students in the district. Finally, the little two nutty boys have joined the crew in kindergarten now. And I start with that and really end with that just to say that it really matters to me that my kids have a great experience, but it matters to me that your kids do too. So I love this community. Mr. Brown and Mr. King, in that order, why don't you introduce yourself as well?
Hello, I'm Louis Brown. I'm one of the 2 assistant principals here at Maplewood Middle School. I've been in the district for a few years. Some of you may be people that have been students of mine or I've worked with when I was working in the district. I was at the high school for a number of years, and maybe one of those people is the current principal. So I've been around, and I've been around in this district because I love this district. I love everything about it. You know, nothing surprises me except for the fact that there's always something to surprise me about what's going on here, and that makes it a very dynamic place to work. I love working with all kinds of students, and there's no place in the world that has such a range of students with things that make them unique and special as our community. So that's why I've settled my roots here, and this has been my career. I love the school, and I love working here, and I love working with Ms. Gronau, and now Mr. King, and everybody in the building. Mr. King?
That's a tough act to follow. Hello, everyone. My name is Russell King. This is almost my first entire full year here at Maplewood Middle School. And in July, it will be my 1 whole year since I've joined everybody. As you can see, my beautiful dog, Moxie, if you hear her crying in the background, I apologize. So prior to this, I was teaching in the Township of Union for 6 years. I taught social studies, and then I made my way over here to Maplewood Middle School, and I've loved every single second. The teachers here are wonderful. They're hardworking. They try to make connections with all their students. Ms. Gronau has been wonderful. She's been a great principal. Mr. Brown has been a great mentor to me as well. I'm very happy that I'm in this community. Everyone's been fantastic. The parents, the outreach, very supportive. And now that we're getting back into the building, I've had a wonderful time meeting the kids. The kids are the best part about this community, and I've loved every single second. And I look forward to meeting your kids as well.
So keep those questions coming. You can go to the next slide. I had to include the dogs that joined us during COVID. Mr. Brown and Mr. King got dogs during COVID. You can see some of our 6th graders here. Next slide. We're next going to kind of talk to you about the structure of our school. You've heard a little bit about it, but as you see our names, we'll just run through again. Don't worry about getting every piece of content. We will get this presentation to you. So Mr. Brown, tell us about our school schedule.
Yes, in fact, I was just answering a question about this in the chat. So we have in each of our 3 grades 3 teams. All the teams are named after cougars because the school mascot is the cougar. So in 6th grade, our teams are the Wildcats, the Silver Lions, and the Red Tigers, excuse me. And on each team, there is a language arts teacher, there's a science teacher, a social studies teacher, and a math teacher. One teacher on the team is a team leader, and you met our 3 team leaders already. And when the question that was in the chat was, do we get to choose what team we're on? And no, you don't get to choose, but we do our very best to make sure that each team is a representation of our school community. So each team should be pretty much the same. They're all developed to be heterogeneous in terms of the math course selection, in terms of everything about our community. Am I still going? And no, it's Mr. King's turn.
So right now, obviously, we're in a hybrid model. So many of the things that I said before, the sentiments of our teachers making connections. They've been trying their very best and working very, very hard in making connections with their students through a virtual setting. And now that we're in a hybrid setting, they're seeing some faces again, and we're getting slowly back to normal. But I also wanted to showcase some of the great tools that our teachers are using. And you'll see our teachers using next year, Jamboard, Padlet, Flipgrid, Newzilla. I'm sure some of you are familiar with. These are awesome tools. We try to become 21st century learners with all the cool tools that they have. And our, like I said, teachers are doing a fabulous job utilizing all of these tools. I'm still going. I'm hot over here. So we had study halls. We hosted study halls for our 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. Starting next week, it will only be our 7th graders. It's been a tremendous showing for our students. We've had up to 35 students in the library at once, and they had movement breaks. They were able to walk around the first floor. It was, I speak for myself, it was very great. Well, I don't speak for myself. I'm sure Ms. Gronau and Mr. Brown had the same experience. Just seeing students' faces, making connections, talking to them, side talking between classes. It really went a long way, and it got the kids back into that normal sense of schedule that we're all missing. Back to Mr. Brown.
All right. So I see the schedule that's up there is our current virtual schedule. So I'm going to be very optimistic, and I'm going to talk more about our regular schedule when we're in person, and then briefly touch on our virtual schedule. We have an 8-period day. Our doors open for the students at 8:12 in the morning, and at 8:20 we begin our first period, and our classes end at 3:05 at the end of the day when we're in person. So what are your 8 periods? You have 1 period of English language arts, 1 period of math, 1 period of science, 1 period of social studies. Each of those meets at least once a day. Then we're at 4. There are 2 periods of your day that are a variety of different things, because these things meet every other day. So that's physical education, world language, music, related arts. So physical education, world language, and music, they meet for the entire year every other day. But your health class and your arts classes, and we'll talk about those a little bit more, meet every other day for currently a trimester, for a third of the year. All right, so we have 4 core content classes plus 2 of our related arts periods. We're up to 6 periods. Each of your core content classes will meet twice in a given day, at least 1 time a week, right? So on Monday, you may have language arts period 1 in the morning and then period 8 in the afternoon. And on Tuesday, you may have math period 2 in the morning and then period 8 in the afternoon, right? So you have your 4 content classes, your 2 periods of the phys ed and related arts and music and world language, plus that what we call our rotation period, where your core content class is meeting again for that day. So that brings us to 7, but I said there are 8 periods because I've left out our favorite period, lunch. The entire 6th grade eats together with only the 6th grade in the cafeteria together. We have a terrific chef, Mr. Rich, lots of great offerings every day, 3 different lines with different types of foods. The 6th graders, when they come in, are always amazed at what lunch is at the middle school compared to what lunch has been at the elementary school. Not putting down lunch at the elementary school, there's just more offerings in the middle school. So that's our school day in a normal year. In our virtual year, we're doing things a little bit differently. There's lunch period is not communal, you're doing that on your own. So right now, students are in class, periods 1, period 2, there's a movement break for 10 minutes, whether you're in the building or at home. Then there's a related art, phys ed period, and then your 2 more core content classes. People who are in the building go home, and everyone does the last 2 periods of the day after lunch, and another movement break from their remote learning location, whether that's home or wherever that is. And then we have about an hour for conference time to connect with teachers and go over things you may not understand, or just another chance to work with a teacher or your peers. So that is a typical day this year and in previous years.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. You can go through the slides with advisory as I'm kind of talking, because I think there's a few advisory slides. Advisory for sixth graders is once a week. It is designed by our fabulous counselors. Miss Battle is one of them, and they design them as a team. Mr. Philemon, Miss Sudet, Miss Dios, our counselors. They do lots of different things. The main thing is just to get kids to connect and practice social emotional skills. We really make space for that with intention. Of course, you're doing it throughout your day, but we also highlight this, and it's a lot of kids really enjoy it. This was probably one of our favorite advisory prompts. Don't be mad at us, parents. What do adults just not understand about kids? What challenges do kids face that adults don't consider? So we prompt discussion, and we also teach them those soft skills that, as we know in life, are probably the most important skills. You can keep going, Mr. King. We're just proud of our mindfulness room. We're not using it right now because that's another in-person space, but it's a really beautiful space, and we know we'll return to it at some point. It's funded by a grant, just helps kids to recenter. We really believe in wellness at our school, taking care of kids and their whole selves. Our counselors did a great job with these virtual counseling classrooms. So I had to show you that. I know a lot of our teachers did those too, virtual classrooms. You can keep going, Mr. King. They also created Wellness Wednesdays activities. Mr. Philemon showed us up because his was focused on fitness. So we've really been creative around just getting to kids, and sometimes kids are in a funk during this remote time, and just finding ways to get them out of that. Mr. King, and now we're going to just skip to very briefly talking about, because we want to hear from you and answer questions aloud, but you'll hear us just speak on and highlight, not read the slides to you, but highlight a little bit about all our different content areas. Mr. King's going to talk about music.
Yeah, so we have three wonderful teachers in the fine art, music department. We have Mr. Ballas, who is our band teacher. We have Miss Chilamitris, who teaches orchestra, and we have Miss Bradshaw, who is our chorus teacher. They do an awesome job, as all of our teachers do, teaching the curriculum, getting them involved. I was just recently in one of Mr. Ballas's classroom, and he did a fantastic job with a randomizer for the wheel, and the kids had to sight read on the spot, and they fell in love with it. He made it into a game show. So they really make it engaging, try to encourage student interest with the things that they're doing and the music selection. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing your child perform. I have some music background myself. I was a trumpet player, so I'm really happy that I got to team up with our music department. And for our health, we have a great curriculum with Mr. Crouch, Mr. Boss, Miss Van Sickle, and Miss Dempsey. They go over a lot of things with what they should be eating, how to take care of themselves with wellness, their mental health. We've also had representatives from the hub, Ms. Kelly Curry, which we're going to talk about later on, come in and speak to the students and talk about mental health. Yeah, so just nutrition, mental health, great teachers, great staff. I'm just on fire. Miss Gronau gave me them all in a row today. I love it. As far as physical education, this has been very unique, obviously, because we were in a virtual setting. Our teachers did a really good job adjusting to that virtual platform for PE. They got outside. They really encouraged outside participation. When we're back in school, we have Memorial, if I'm not mistaken, it's called Memorial across the street. And they go outside and participate in PE. This is a picture of our huge gym.
And that is virtual, just so you know. Those were the kids getting into it in virtual PE class. Sixth graders, actually. Take it away, Mr. Brown.
Oh, I'm still unmuted. I should have been muted. Sorry. So math. Sixth grade, there are 2 courses you should have selected already. The deadline is passed, but the form is still open in PowerSchool. And we'll talk about that a little bit as well. So there's 2 courses in 6th grade. 6th grade math, and it prepares students to either take grade 7 math. So 6th grade is grade level 6th grade math. 7th grade is grade level 7th grade math. Or for students who want to then take pre-algebra in 7th grade, they'll be ready to take 7th grade pre-algebra coming from 6th grade math. And in 6th grade math, the focus is on equivalence, properties of operations, proportional reasoning. Sixth grade pre-algebra is an accelerated class. So it's a combination of the grade level curriculum and the grade 7 curriculum for pre-algebra. So it's preparing you to take algebra in 7th grade. And then you would take geometry in 8th grade. So that would put you kind of 2 years ahead of grade level. And the 6th grade pre-algebra focus, you can see here, is proportional reasoning, operations with rational numbers and integers in context, and a little bit of geometry. Mr. King.
And I'm back. We also, our science department, we actually have one of our science teachers here, Mr. Ezra, Mr. Stewart, excuse me, who's done a fantastic job with the things that he's been teaching his students. Mr. Stewart, do you want to talk about some of the things that you talk about throughout the year in 6th grade science?
Sure, I'd love to. Thank you, Mr. King. So again, as I said, I am not only the team leader, I'm also one of the 3 science teachers who teach 6th grade. Doesn't matter which team that you're on, all 6th grade science teachers, we teach the same curriculum of topics. So just to clarify, for those students who are looking forward to dissecting earthworms and fetal pigs, I'm so sorry to tell you, not in 6th grade. That will be in 7th grade that you will have the dissection unit, okay? So what are you going to learn in 6th grade? You're going to learn about the principles of physical science. What do I mean by physical science? You're going to be learning about the principles of chemistry and physics. So you'll be learning about things such as matter, that all things that are made up of matter consist of atoms and molecules. This makes up our physical world. You're going to be learning about the different properties of matter, phase changes, atoms and molecules, as I spoke about. You'll be learning about energy, thermal energy, chemical energy, why that's important to you, why you have to have a healthy breakfast in the morning and a healthy lunch in the afternoon to maintain your energy. You'll be learning about Newton's laws of motion, coming from the scientist Isaac Newton. You'll be learning about astronomy, and you'll be doing this while engaging traditionally in as many hands-on labs as possible. So before the pandemic, as you can see in the top picture, this is a lab where we were building thermal insulators from basic household materials in order to learn about the difference between conduction and insulation. And we would do that working in a team, working with equipment. In this case here, we were working with digital thermometers. And kids work together to participate, to learn together. We also do field trips, at least one field trip a year. If not an in-person field trip, what we would do this year is that we would do a kind of virtual experience where we try to bring the science more to you instead of you leaving the building to go out to explore science. So we try to keep things as interesting as possible. But I would also be remiss in my responsibilities as team leader if I didn't also highlight the work that we've done in social justice. As a school, as a community, everything that we do, we also want to highlight the importance of social justice. And speaking directly to the students, when you consider, the various social climate and events going on in the world, we like to link all of those things so that you're not only educated academically, you're also going to be very socially conscious individuals, will be set up to become socially responsible individuals when you leave us from middle school. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And we got our foundation at Columbia High School, didn't we? Fun fact, Mr. Stewart and I graduated together. Take it away, Mr. Brown.
I will be delivering this part of the presentation in English because I do not speak Spanish, because I did not take Spanish. But we have 2 world languages that we offer at Maplewood Middle School. This year, for the first time, we were able to offer Mandarin Chinese, and the same will be the case next year as well. So students will get to choose between, or families will choose for their students. You'll choose together either Spanish, and in Spanish you learn greetings, a little bit about weather, telling time, numbers, asking, responding to basic questions, personality, physical traits, nouns, likes and dislikes. Remember, Spanish is every other day. So it's kind of a half-year course. It's an introduction. By the end of middle school, students have been through Spanish 1. So when they start at the high school, they go into Spanish 2. Next slide is probably still me talking about Chinese. Yes, it is. So in Mandarin Chinese, which is when I sit in on the class, it's just a terrific class. We're lucky to have a terrific teacher, Ms. Chang. And you're learning greetings, numbers, a little bit about the symbols, a little bit of writing, family members, colors, animals, fruits, country languages, the language, and asking and responding to basic questions. Even though we've been virtual, it's been very engaging and students have really enjoyed that Mandarin Chinese class. Go, Mr. Brown, talk about social studies. So social studies in 6th grade is US history up through the civil rights movement. And what the teachers really do a good job is making connections throughout the year between topics that come up and also making connections to current day. So certainly when they're studying the Civil War, when they're talking about Reconstruction and civil rights, there's that's in the headlines today. So there's always connections to be made in US history with what they're learning in the classroom about the past and today. And you can see there the main topics that they're doing, their skills, they're learning about close reading of texts, how to create and support a historical argument, looking at multiple perspectives for every part of the curriculum, and learning really how to look at documents critically with a critical eye, not just accepting everything that's put in front of them. Next slide. Is it me?
No, it's me.
No.
I gave myself a break. This is one of our fabulous English teachers, Mrs. Lang Rogers. And you can see on the slide what should look familiar to you because we're a Columbia Teachers College project school. And so your child's been learning units of study throughout elementary school, and we carry that over up through middle school. The units of study, you can go to the next one, should sound familiar to you. They work on narrative writing, argumentative writing, and informational writing, and really are just, it's a core foundational course. The skills that they're learning in ELA, they're applying across the board in all of their classes. And our teachers as a whole, I must just say, do a great job of informational text outside of ELA class. Mr. Stewart, he's teaching literacy while he's teaching science. You can keep going. We're almost to the questions, I assure you, and I know you've been getting them answered on the, being answered typewritten, but we'll definitely highlight some. Take it away with art, Mr. King.
So we have our 2 teachers, Miss Reisman and Miss Miller. They have been doing a wonderful job as well. They really take pride in making sure their students have all the necessary materials and manipulatives for them to be successful in class. Some of the things that they're doing, we're doing modeling with clay, ceramics, painting. We have 2D and 3D art. So they will eventually get to take both 2D and 3D art. Yeah, I'm going to pass it to the next slide.
That's me. So if you have more specific curriculum questions, here's a blue slide. These are all the curriculum supervisors because we really just gave you a very quick overview. If there's something you want to know to help your child get ready for middle school specific to a content area, go ahead and take a picture of that slide if you want, but know that we'll give you this whole presentation. And next I wanted to speak about special education. That's the next slide. We have a full child study team. We have a wonderful group of social workers, and they're all listed there. It's another blue slide. We really believe in an inclusion model and the least restrictive environment possible. And we have a really robust special education program. If I'm counting correctly, I think we have 18 special education teachers, so a full team and a really excellent team. If you have questions about special education, please use that contact information. We'll make sure you know your child's case manager very early on in the year. I believe the goal is to know before the year starts. If that's not the case, you will absolutely know by back to school night.
Can I just
yes.
Because a question came up about inclusion classes. So
Okay.
I think it's important to say that special education students who are scheduled for inclusion classes are obviously scheduled for inclusion classes, and other students, most, I would say, probably virtually all of our students are in at least one inclusion class. We have a number of inclusion classes. Every team has inclusion classes. So most likely all children, if you're not a classified child who's in an inclusion class, will be in an inclusion class at one point in their day.
Thank you. And the Special Services Department just asked me to remind you to look for if your child is participating in extended school year. That's happening July 6th to the 13th. That's the next slide, Mr. King. We have two special education teachers featured on there, Miss Varney and Miss Hanson. You'll hear about a family orientation, but you should have a letter that you received if ESY is in your child's IEP so that you can register. So please go back and check that. That just went out yesterday. You can keep going. 504s, Mr. Brown.
Okay, I was typing in the question and answering. 504 plans. 504 plans, for those of you who have children with a 504 plan, you know what I'm talking about. For those of you who don't, a 504 plan is a plan that's put in place for a student with a disability. It's not quite an IEP. It's a little bit different in terms of, it's for students who have a disability who don't qualify for an IEP for special services. And basically a 504 plan says if you have a disability, you need to be able to access your education. Just like if you're in a wheelchair, you need to be able to access the building. If you have a learning disability that doesn't qualify you for an IEP, you still need to be able to access your learning. So I receive them from the elementary schools. They're now where everything's in the computer, so it just rolls over so I can see them. What I have done for the past 2 years is having meetings with someone from the elementary school, the principal or assistant principal, and all the parents of the students with a 504 for a transition meeting late in the school year or the beginning of the summer. And basically it's just for me to meet you, so you know who I am, so you know who the face of the 504 coordinator at MMS is, and we don't revise the 504 plan at that point. It's just for us to have a brief discussion, so I know a little bit about you, you know a little bit that I'm there overseeing the 504. Teachers start the year with a copy of the existing 504 plan. The 504 plan is an annual document, so at some point in the school year, you would have a meeting with me to do the annual review of the 504 plan, and that's depending on the date of when that falls in the school year.
So we have lots of supports. We have intervention teachers. We have lots of counselors. We're going to have somewhere around 9 interns next year when you include social work and school counseling. You'll hear about the hub and of course our child study team. And we have Saturday Academy, which is running virtually right now. If your child needs additional academic support, they also might go through the INRS process. So we believe in meeting your child where they are, but also giving them the supports that they need. Go to the next slide. So Saturday Academy meets 9 to 12. It's virtual. When the time comes, it'll be in person. And we look at your child's, how they're doing academically and see if they might need the additional support. Sometimes a team leader, a counselor refers them to Saturday Academy. Keep going. YouthNet is, this is the fun stuff. There's so many great clubs. That's really one way in which your world opens up as a middle schooler, are all the clubs that we have to offer. So you can certainly take a picture of that. We'll be sharing this information with you, but your child can sign up for a host of clubs. And there's 3 different sessions, fall, winter, and spring, and the clubs change. Right now we have the Spectrum Club running. They're actually organizing a day of silence for our LGBTQ community and allies. Go to the next. We have a SOPAC grant that's actually just getting started. They're doing that virtually this year. We have a dance teacher, and there's a Alvin Ailey dance residency through South Orange Performing Arts Center. Happens at both middle schools. Keep going. The hub is a really special experience as part of Maplewood Middle School. There are 3 social workers. There's quite a few slides, Mr. King, so you can kind of click through as I'm talking about the hub. Today they had an Earth Day celebration, and a week from today they have an ice cream social. They essentially do recreation, and while they're doing it, they're supporting and counseling your child. It is a place for your child to go after school. So you'll see the hours in these coming slides, and it's open, it is free. And we urge you to take advantage of it. They're fully integrated in our school. We have many social workers, officially employed by the district, but this is a site-based counseling service that is actually based in our school. So it really does enrich us as a school community. And Kelly Curry, I think her information is on one of the next slides. She is the coordinator. And you can keep going, it's somewhere, I think it's a blue slide, there you go. And then there are youth development specialists. She's actually going to add to her team. Miss Milton and Miss Higgins is a newly hired youth development specialist, and they're here, they have an office here, and then they're available after school. Keep going, Mr. King. And the musical, you heard from Miss O'Sullivan earlier. Musical is a really special part of our school, and they're doing Singing in the Rain this year. You can go to the next slide to see how to order tickets. And it is running on May 7th, 8th, and 9th. It will be streaming. We can't wait to see our kids in action. We have just a really talented group of advisors who do more than you could probably imagine in a middle school show. It really is, the high school is like Broadway, and we're really like a typical high school in terms of what they're able to do with our kids. It's a great thing. If you want to know a little bit about MMS, this is one way to do it. So we hope you'll check that out. Go to the next slide. We also have student council. These next few clubs I'm telling you about run all year round. This is our core leadership. They actually apply versus being elected. So you can read a little bit about that. They organize and really lead our school. And I meet with them to hear as they represent their school community. We have Martin Luther King Jr. Association. We have a STEP team, intramural sports. Mr. Degnan does that. Science fair, Model UN, these all run year round, an online school newspaper, and of course the musical. But these are the full year clubs that you're seeing listed here. And we really hope you take advantage of that. That's usually the way I like to, if anybody wants to know how to be successful, get involved in your school, connect with the adults in our school, not just in the classroom, but in our clubs. We really believe in student voice. On the right is one of the winners of our oratory contest, and on the left is just actually right before we left in March, we were doing a virtual circle. You get the faculty around the kids, and then you have the kids in the middle telling us about their experiences at MMS, what we are doing that's helping them, what we're doing that we could be doing better. And we're actually going to be doing a listening circle next week virtually with our kids. So we really believe in hearing from your students. And this is a picture of Mr. Yang. Actually, yesterday, there's an article on this, came in the Associated Press today. Our teachers took the time without prompting. I might have reminded and shared resources, but I didn't need to. They were going to do it anyway. Speaking about the Chauvin verdict and giving our kids a chance to process what's going on in the world. And so that's the kind of place we are, helping your kids find their voice and share it. And I believe we're at Q&A. Is there anything you want to go through, those that can see the Q&A, to highlight? I know you stopped and mentioned some earlier. We still have another 20 minutes.
There are a couple that I haven't answered yet. And one is about what are we going to do about the students who have really struggled this year in virtual learning, assuming we're back in the building. What are we just going to assume it's back to business, or how are we going to help them out?
So we're working closely with our curriculum supervisors, right? Because what needs to be done on the whole is making sure we do know where they are, right? So really clear, simple assessment, but assessing them and determining where they are to see what their needs are. And being effective in our differentiation. Kids are going to be at different places. They're going to be kids who really have excelled, kids who need some more support. And we also will keep those opportunities for, in addition to getting the support in the classroom, giving those extra opportunities for support, whether that's Saturday Academy or any additional time outside of the school. So we know that is how they're doing emotionally is very important, how they're feeling. But of course is our focus for the start of the year and is our focus period. but we know that we need to see where they are academically and work together to meet those needs. And we hope that you'll take advantage of some of the summer opportunities if you do feel that your child needs that kind of, maybe not resetting, but kind of checking in on the year and emphasizing some of the skills from this past year. Sixth graders would actually, incoming sixth graders would stay with their elementary school. That's how it's been organized for this school year, to kind of revisit skills. But we will have a summer bridge program that I'll close with talking about that also might be of use for some of your kids.
So that's a segue, like there are some questions about that, what's happening, what summer programs are being offered, but more specifically, a few questions about math, what math summer programs are being offered.
I don't remember what has been finalized with math. I know that you will get the opportunity. I promise I can get that information for you, or you certainly can email Kim Bean. If you want the person that asked it, please make sure you give her her email address to the person. Maybe we should just say it out loud, but it is earlier in the presentation. It's KBEANE, and then the regular end of our is Mr. King going back to that. Yeah, her email address. Yeah. Okay, so she's up top. And if you have specifics, because I believe there's a few different options for math, but that was still being finalized. But math emphasis would definitely be part of that fifth grade. You know, I actually wish there was a principal on earlier. I might have asked. I don't know the specifics of what they're doing, but they're absolutely going to revisit math as part of the summer program for elementary.
And I know the question was also about preparing students for sixth grade math. And I know they're also preparing some asynchronous work to be done as well, with opportunities for check-ins with teachers, excuse me. A few questions, or maybe it's the same question, about when students can access the 3D printers. Is Mr. Degnan still here or no?
He is not, but it's available. I mean, sometimes it's part of an actual assignment, as when he was talking about how he used it with Mr. Stewart. But he's available. You know, so you can't just leave class. You know, but the library is open during lunch for most lunch periods except for one, because Mr. Degnan's teaching at that time. And you can use it, and he's actually available generally a little bit after school too. So he loves kids using the 3D printers.
How much homework should we expect tonight?
Particularly this past year, we've really encouraged teachers to, you know, limit homework, you know, show what you can do on, you know, a lot of what would be at home would be something you didn't quite finish in class. I can't give you a numeric amount, but what I can say to you is that because we have a team model, we really ask, and our teachers do a pretty good job of making sure they're not asking for a lot at the same time. So if there's some big ELA essay, we really work hard for the team to communicate and not be asking something of your child at the same time. But that's something you could talk to Ms. Battle about if that is not happening, or of course speak to us about it if your kid's getting slammed, because that's not what we want to be happening.
Are there STEM classes for sixth graders, and how often do they meet?
You want to talk about creative computing and design?
Sure.
Yeah.
So one of the options, there's another slide that deals with filling out those surveys, correct? So one of the options for your related arts is creative computing and design, which is a STEM class. It talks about the design cycle, does use technology outside of the regular math and science classes. That's an option for students to take. All of our related arts classes, we want to know what you'd like to take. We're able to give you your first choice, but other than that, you're assigned to the other classes. So you may end up in a STEM class even if you didn't request that. I think we're about to get to the slide that talks about that, so I'll stop talking for a second while Mr. King does his thing. There we go. What? Thank you. Well, next steps, your child's schedule. So you'll see there's a link here, and we're going to email this out in the next couple of days. We can't do it necessarily from our school because your children aren't in our system yet. But there are two things. We want to know what music you want to take. Every sixth grader takes either band, orchestra, or chorus. So we want to know which is you're interested in. And then we also want to know what your preference is for the related arts classes. Every student takes health, but we also offer dance, Art 2D, Art 3D, and Creative Computing and Design. We want to know what your interest is. We can't guarantee that you'll get what you want, but it helps us in scheduling you. And then we want to know if you are interested in Spanish or Chinese. So that's important in our scheduling. The other thing this slide mentions that's about scheduling is by now you should have made your math course selection in PowerSchool. I believe you still can go into PowerSchool and fill out the form, but you could also email me and I'll store that information right now. Right now I can't access the form for fifth graders, so it's better if you do it directly in the form, then we know the information there is accurate. But if you really can't figure that out, then you can email me and I'll keep that information.
Go back to the PowerSchool slide, Mr. King. So PowerSchool, you're probably getting more familiar with it. We've been using it more as a district across grade levels. Your child will have their own PowerSchool access and they'll get that in September. And that's a way for them to see what's going on with their classes. I know me as an elementary parent, I'm never there in PowerSchool, but you will be as a middle school parent. You'll see what's going on with their assignments, how they're progressing. So you'll use your PowerSchool account more as a parent in middle school, and your child will have their own to see how things are going with their marking period grades.
Can I add a little to that?
Yes.
The parent portal and the student portal looks very similar, but the student portal doesn't have access to forms. So when we say things like fill out the math selection form, fill out the COVID agreement form, only the parent portal can access that. So yeah, you can look at your children's grades and their attendance using their login information, but you need your login information to do that type of thing. And also, while you can look on your phone, it's more powerful on a computer. I know people get frustrated trying to find the forms and other things using their phone app, but it's much easier on the computer. That's just a PowerSchool. We have no control over that.
Other questions? You can go over back to next steps, Mr. King. Actually, go back to that last one. This is everybody's information, basically who I could think of who you might want to be checking in with between now and September. So you have Miss Battle, who'll be your child's counselor. Miss Conway, you'll need to give information, health information, forms, all of that transitioned over. And so we want you to have that information. And then we're organized. I didn't share how we're organized. I always keep the sixth graders so that I get a chance to meet our families and meet all the kids. And then you're going to loop with one of the assistant principals in 7th and 8th grade. So right now, Mr. Brown is with 8th grade and Mr. King is with 7th, and then he'll loop up with them. So that's just another way. We always are looking to make our big school smaller, but I like to start with my 6th graders. You can go over to next steps. The next one I think has Summer Bridge, and then please make sure you're raising questions if we haven't gotten to those, Mr. Brown. The next thing that we'll do with this group, it's for kids who are recommended because their 5th grade teacher thinks they might, benefit from a little bit of support and kind of preview of our school. Even if your child is not recommended though for Summer Bridge, please know how fabulous our 6th grade teachers are. There is so much kind of orientation activities and ways of helping the kids know the building and know the systems and just know what you need to do in middle school. But if your child has been recommended for Summer Bridge, their 5th grade teacher just believes that they might benefit from it, or possibly, some other member of the school community, the principal, assistant principal, a social worker. If you have questions about Summer Bridge, please don't hesitate to reach me. I organize it, I plan it, and we have a great Summer Bridge team. And it is right close to the beginning of the year so that what they learn, they can kind of retain as the year starts in September. Other questions to raise, Mr. Brown? We still have another 10 minutes.
So,
you can go to that fundraiser. Go.
Quite a few questions about phones, which I've answered in the chat a few times, but the school policy on phones is off and away, and that includes lunch. While you're in the building. I mean, this year obviously is a little different because we're using technology in different ways, but you're not required to use a phone. Some teachers, though, we do allow a teacher to say, like, if you want to take a picture of this, take a picture, something like that, where it's used for academic purposes. But if using it socially is not allowed in school. Speaking of social times, there is no recess in middle school. sorry, we just don't have time. We have a lot going on in our school day. And in terms of social times, other than lunch, there's no free time during the school day. You have 3 minutes to get from class to class. You want to be on time, and 3 minutes is plenty of time to be on time, but not really a lot of time to socialize and be on time for class. And there's a question about confusion about the math and the summer programs for the math. I think we'll ask Ms. Bean to send something out to clarify what is happening in the summer. That should be coming from the district soon, I think.
Yes, I'm sorry I didn't answer that fully, but I believe they're updating and possibly offering new things that weren't originally planned. So I don't want to say it incorrectly, but you're welcome to email her and we'll let her know that that was brought up here this evening. And I suspect it was brought up yesterday for South Orange Middle too. So me and Miss Irby will absolutely follow up with Miss Bean.
Ms. Conway, you are still here, so you can answer this question. Are there, maybe, no, definitely. Is it required that you have a physical to come to 6th grade?
Yes, we like an updated physical upon entry to middle school, just because your student is new to the school, they are new to me. Sometimes there are things that get diagnosed at this age that weren't present before. You know, maybe there's a change in your child's vision or hearing status that, you know, need to be addressed before they come to middle school, so they won't have anything impeding their learning. We like to just kind of, you know, start fresh in 6th grade with, you know, just understanding each child's unique health situation. I understand though that a lot of people, you go to your pediatrician when your child has a birthday. So that's fine, you know, just as long as, you know, you communicate with me. If you're not planning on taking your child to the doctor until November, December, just if there's anything going on health-wise, if you just communicate that with me before the start of the school year, so I'm aware of it.
And I'll just reiterate, the immunizations, those 6th grade immunizations are still fully required, even while virtual. I don't know if you want to do a reminder about that, but we have to get those, and that's not different even while we've been hybrid or fully remote.
Yes, the state and local departments of health have not waived immunization requirements, even though some students are remaining virtual. So we still need those 2 required vaccinations. They're anytime your student turns 11, you can get those vaccinations. So you can get them now, you can get them over the summer, but they do need to be turned in before your student starts in September.
A few questions similar about orientation to the school building, orientation to using locks and lockers. Are kids coming? This 5th grader is going to come during the spring to see the middle school. A few questions about that.
Yes, and Ms. Battle, do you want to take that one? You definitely said that question was going to come up.
Sure. I would love to do in-person orientations. That's a huge thing that we plan and we love it. We have tour guides who went to the elementary school, like it's really personalized. However, we're going to have to do things a little differently, and you know, we're open to a revised plan. When and if we are able to do our traditional orientations, or even with modification for kids to come, we'll do them. But right now, we're not allowed to do that. So I have to think a little into it. Something I was thinking about was visiting the elementary teachers' classrooms, even virtually, and talking to the kids, getting a feel for them. I know our current 6th grade counselor, Mr. Philemon, he did something over the summer where he had these small groups of 6th graders from various elementary schools where they can come on and just meet during these open forum sessions. So I'll say this, we're going to do something, and it is going to be to the best of my ability, but it will not probably be like my traditional tours where we had each elementary school come in. But, you know, I'm always working a positive into it. Maybe the way we do it virtually, we can mix the schools differently. Because when we did it in person, it was like all of Tuscan, all of Seth Boyd, and all of Jefferson. So if we do it virtually, maybe we can mix it up a little bit different. And I know a lot of questions are out there about team assignments. So the kids are, they're mixed into the teams. Like just the elementary schools, we just mix them, you know, they're mirror images of each other. The whole purpose of them is to organize the building so you have a smaller experience here. Yes, it's big. There's almost 800 kids, but I'll be completely honest with you, it never feels that way because I think the team approach of the school makes it feel smaller. So the kids on the team will have the same social studies, science, language arts teacher, or in many cases math. Sometimes a little different because math is leveled. So you might have an off-team assignment, but we try not to even do that. So those 4 teachers, they see your children. So that's like a tiny community within. Only time I ever feel like school is huge is in a fire drill. That's it. So
math was
Can
on
I-
the team. Math is teamed this year because our math teachers teach both maths
right
now. So math
that's
was not
even more so. But the thing about teams, you know, some people feel like, wow, but my child has friends and they might not be on that team, and that's true. The thing about it is the related arts classes are not team-based. So students will have an opportunity to see their friends in art, in world language, different places. Lunch is not the same right now, but when we go back to that, so it's not like everything on a team. Some things are, you know, you get to see your friends at different opportunities throughout the day.
Can I tell everyone a few secrets?
Yes.
Here's secret number 1. All of the 6th graders are new at the beginning of the school year. Here's secret number 2. All of our 6th grade teachers know that the 6th graders don't know their way around the building. And they also know that 6th graders don't know how to use locks. So assuming we're starting the year in the building, the first couple days, they're spending time making sure the students know their way around the building, knowing how to use a lock and a locker. So even though we may not be able to do anything in the spring or in the summer, whenever we're back in the building, the teachers will spend the time teaching the students about the building, about how to use a locker. We get that. It's not a surprise that you don't know your way around. We'll make sure you find your way around. Within a week or 2, you'll be experts in the building and you'll know how to get from place to place.
Yeah, we'll definitely build it in. We'll take, you know, extra care with that.
Absolutely. Anything to close us with, because we're about to be done.
I don't see anything remarkable in the questions. You know, the specific questions about the immunizations and everything, people can email Ms. Conway directly with those questions, I think.
Thank you. Thank you for diligently answering along the way. I hope people felt responded to. I hope you got a little bit of a feel for our team, and we really are a team. We work together to meet your child's needs, and we're really looking forward to meet. You've heard that because that really is true. We love having our new 6th graders, and you'll hear more from us. Keep following us on social media to learn more about what we're doing, and of course, check out Singing in the Rain. If you have friends or families that you know that didn't get to make it, this is going to go on the district YouTube page if they want to check out the recording. And I am going to send this presentation either to the district or to your child's current principal. So thank you so much. Yes.
I just add, thank you for sticking with us the whole night. I think we have 5 fewer people than we did at our peak, which means that you listened to everything we had to say. So we appreciate that. And thank you for spending your time with us tonight.
Absolutely. We're getting better at it. This used to be us in the auditorium, but it's us on WebEx. We hope you got to learn a little bit more about our school. Have a great night, everybody. Good night.